Your finance team reviews the P&L every month. Your product team reviews feature adoption every sprint. Your sales team reviews pipeline every week. But when did you last review your people data? Not anecdotally, not we had a few resignations this quarter, but actually reviewed structured HR data and used it to make a business decision? If the answer is never or rarely, you're running your company with one of its most important dashboards completely dark. Why it matters. People costs typically represent 60 to 70% of the operating expenses of a knowledge-based business. Yet most CEOs make people decisions based on gut feel, anecdote, and whatever got loud enough to require their attention. In any other domain, sales, finance, product, this would be considered negligent. In HR, it's the norm. The reason is simple. Most companies don't have a people data practice. They have data scattered across an ATS, a payroll system, a performance tool, and a handful of spreadsheets. None of it connected, none of it telling a coherent story. Part 1. The 5 HR metrics every CEO needs. Let's start with the metrics that matter most. There are dozens of HR metrics you could track. I'm going to give you the 5 that are genuinely decision relevant at the CEO level. The ones that tell you whether your people function is healthy and where the real risks are. Metric 1. Voluntary attrition rate. The percentage of employees who choose to leave in a given period. Track this monthly by department and by level. A company average can hide a critical leadership team problem. Formula: voluntary departures divided by average headcount multiplied by 100. Benchmark: under 10% annually is healthy for most industries. Under 5% is excellent. Metric 2. Time to hire. From job opening to offer acceptance, high time to hire costs you both money and the best candidates. Track by role type, senior hires naturally take longer. Benchmark: 30 days for individual contributors, 45 to 60 days for senior or specialist roles. Metric 3. Offer acceptance rate. Of the offers you make, what percentage are accepted? Below 80% signals a problem, either compensation, employer brand, or the candidate experience is weak. This metric tells you the health of your talent attraction, not just your talent sourcing. Metric 4. 90-day retention rate. What percentage of new hires are still with you at 90 days? Below 90% is a serious onboarding red flag. Combined with exit data, this tells you whether you have a hiring problem or an onboarding problem. Two very different solutions. Metric 5. Manager effectiveness score, derived from team engagement surveys, attrition by team, and 360-degree feedback. This is your most powerful leading indicator. Poor manager effectiveness predicts attrition 12 months before it shows up in your numbers. Part 2. Building your first HR dashboard. You don't need a sophisticated HRIS or analytics tool to have a functioning HR dashboard. I've worked with companies who run excellent people data practices on Google Sheets. What you need is not software. What you need is a cadence, a regular rhythm of data collection, analysis, and presentation to the leadership team. I'd suggest monthly data collection, quarterly deep analysis, and a 10-minute people metrics review as a standing item in your monthly leadership team meeting. Here's how to build your first people dashboard in 4 steps. Step 1. Identify your data sources. This typically means your ATS for hiring data, your payroll system for headcount and attrition, and a pulse survey tool for engagement and manager effectiveness. Step 2. Define your 5 core metrics and agree on the definitions. Attrition means voluntary attrition only, for example, not redundancies or performance exits. Step 3. Assign someone who owns the data, ideally your HR lead. But at an early stage, this can be the COO or an HR business partner. Step 4. Create a single one-page summary that gets reviewed monthly. Not a data dump, one page, 5 metrics, trend lines, and one insight per metric. Part 3. Using HR data to make real decisions. Let me make this concrete with 3 real decision scenarios where HR data changed the outcome. Scenario 1. The hidden manager problem. A Series B company had a company-level attrition rate of 12%. Not great, but not alarming. When we broke attrition down by team, we found that one engineering team had attrition of 42% over the prior year. Every single person who left cited management in their exit interview. But because the data had never been segmented this way, the CEO had no idea. The manager in question was technically exceptional and a founder's favorite. So the pattern had been explained away, individual departure by individual departure. When the data was laid out, the decision was clear. The manager needed a structured coaching plan or a role change. They chose the former, got an executive coach, and attrition in that team dropped to 8% the following year. Without the data, that problem continues indefinitely. The cost of that single manager's performance issues in lost talent, in lost productivity, in recruiting costs was estimated at over 60 lakh rupees in that 1 year. Scenario 2. The offer acceptance signal. A growing fintech company noticed their offer acceptance rate had declined from 87% to 68% over 2 quarters. Their first assumption was compensation. So they benchmarked salaries and found they were competitive. The real cause emerged when they surveyed declined candidates. The interview process was taking an average of 42 days from first call to offer, and multiple candidates reported that a competitor had moved faster. The fix had nothing to do with money. They restructured their hiring process to complete all rounds within 21 days, and their acceptance rate recovered to 84% within 1 quarter. That single data point, offer acceptance rate declining, triggered an investigation that saved them an estimated 12 to 15 lost hires over the following 6 months. Scenario 3. Using pulse data to prevent a leadership crisis. A professional services firm was growing fast and the CEO was proud of the culture. Then they ran their first structured pulse survey using ENPS, Employee Net Promoter Score. The company average was plus 15, acceptable. But when filtered by seniority, senior managers, directors scored minus 22. The leadership pipeline was completely disengaged. They had more work, less visibility, and no clear path to advancement. The CEO had no idea because senior people don't often tell their boss they're unhappy. They just leave quietly and expensively. Armed with the data, the company launched a leadership development program, created a clear director to VP advancement framework, and ran quarterly skip levels. Within 6 months, senior manager ENPS moved to plus 18 and voluntary attrition in that group dropped to 0 for the year. One survey, correctly analyzed, prevented what would likely have been 4 to 6 departures from the company's most critical talent tier. Part 4. Building a data-driven people culture. The goal isn't to reduce your people to data points. The goal is to let data tell you where to look so that your human judgment can do its best work. HR data doesn't replace conversations, it focuses them. When you know attrition in one team is 4 times the company average, you have a focused conversation. When you know the offer acceptance dropped 15 points this quarter, you have a focused investigation. When you know pulse scores are diverging between senior and junior employees, you have a focused action plan. Data doesn't make you less human as a leader. It makes your humanity more effective. Summary. To bring this together, The 5 metrics every CEO needs are voluntary attrition rate, time to hire, offer acceptance rate, 90-day retention, and manager effectiveness score. Build a monthly cadence for reviewing them. Segment the data. Company averages lie. Use it to focus decisions, not replace them. And start now, even if you're starting with a spreadsheet. The companies that win on talent in the next 5 years won't necessarily have the biggest budgets. They'll be the ones that make the most informed decisions. And HR data is how you do that. If you want to see how strong your current KPI and performance system really is, we have put together a quick 5-main diagnostic instant result. Link is in the description. If this series has been useful, subscribe to the HiveStrat channel. We publish new frameworks like this every week. We'll see you in the next one.